This is the video review for Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Megatron. This figure, he's pretty clever, and I find him very interesting, but I also find him kind of underwhelming, and there are some problems with him, and I'll get into those. First, here is his jet mode. Well, you can see the head in jet mode, but that is show accurate. I don't quite mind that. And it does do a pretty good job of filling up around him. It is a flaw, but not as bad as it could be, just because that's kind of what he's supposed to look like. It's not a flaw of the toy, it's a flaw of his show design. Now this is his jet. It's pretty big, pretty light. It stays together fairly well, but it's very hollow, and from the underside, it's one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. The transformation's pretty neat, but the actual robot mode does leave something to be desired. It looks great, but, well, I'll show you what I mean. To begin, take off his gun. There's a little tab here. Push that down, and here you have his fusion cannon. Okay, so here's the actual jet itself without any of that stuff. To begin, take the wings, break them down, fold these tabs in, and detab the legs from the side. They're on the swing bar here. Start folding them down, and these little front pieces, start rotating them up. Not all the way, just enough to get them out of the way of the legs. Bring the legs down, and tab them into the crotch piece. Now let's deal with these side panels. What these do is they just rotate and tab in. Flatten out the feet. Sorry. Rotate and tab in, flatten out the feet. And that gets you his legs. I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, I like this guy's transformation, it's just his robot mode has some problems. Now let's look at the upper body. For the upper body, you will bend these down, they become the arms, pull them down, and straighten them out, pull this back, fold in these parts here. When you pull this back, it reveals the head. And then the arms will just, they're on a hinge right here and a hinge here. You want them angled up a little bit, and that will allow you to get them out. Then you'll take these pieces and rotate them up, and they'll form the chest. And I like how they have that little hole in the middle, and that reveals the Decepticon logo in there. I think that's pretty clever. So then you just start hinging this back, and you gotta make sure these stay together because there are little notches in here for the arm pieces in there. And then that will just sort of collapse in. Just gotta finagle with it till you'll kinda hear a click. Kinda. I mean, it's not a very strong connection. Moving the arm, yes, you can see a lot of wiggle there. It'll stay, but I wish it had a stronger connection in there. And this is Megatron's robot mode. He's pretty tall. I mean, he's not a bad-sized deluxe figure, but his head is tiny. I mean, my big problem is just this backpack doesn't lock in. It just flaps in the wind. I mean, I'm looking back here. I've looked here before, and I'm just not seeing anything that will really cause it to just stay in there. I mean, the most is that these right here grab around these. And it kind of works, but not as well as it should. And something about my light setting's getting overblown. Either too much or not enough. He's one of those asinine, silvery white figures that doesn't want to be lit quite right. Looks great in person. He has plenty of silver paint on the arms, on the chest, on the head, although he does have a fair smattering of just blank gray plastic, and that is a shame. Stupid light. There, I think that's better. Will have to do for now. So yeah, this is Megatron. His articulation is quite nice. His head can look left, right. It's on the ball joint, so you get a little bit of wiggle, but not much. He has too much stuff around his head. You can kind of see the light piping now, but yeah, he's got pretty nice light piping. And for his articulation, his arms go forward, back, out. They're ball jointed, but it's at kind of an angle, like Dark of the Moon Shockwave. He has a bicep swivel and a double hinged elbow. He has a wrist swivel. No waist articulation, so legs go forward, back, out, rotate above the knee, bend at the knee. And because of these, he has a lot of foot articulation that can get him into some pretty nice and very stable poses. So his feet are excellent. It's just his arms and that backpack that don't stay together, that don't really work for me. And here is his gun. He can go into his hand like this, or if you flip this back in, there's a hole here and a tab here, and this tab was to hold the arms together in jet mode. This tab will go in here, and it'll fit on his wrist, and I think that looks pretty nice. And I like this cannon, actually. It's very well sized for the figure. It's tastefully sized, not too big or too small or too non-canon like Dark of the Moon Voyager Megatron's gun was. And yeah. The upper body, kind of underwhelming. The engineering's clever. I like the transformation. The legs are great. And the alt mode, it's pretty interesting. The figure just is underwhelming. I mean, the way this flops reminds me of Transformers Prime's Bumblebee's chest, which also kind of flops. Not quite so bad, but if this is the kind of stuff we have to look forward to in a line, figures that have excellent transformations and good alt modes, but robot modes that don't quite stay together, I'm not quite sure I'm going to enjoy this line, at least not the deluxes. Maybe the Voyagers will be better, and maybe this is just Megatron Bumblebee, because RC was pretty nice. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching.